Your last painful day has already happened. You just do not know it yet. The season that nearly broke you, the one that had you questioning everything you believed about God, about yourself, and about your future, that season breathed its final breath before you even pressed play today. Heaven did not bring you here to taunt you with what could be. Heaven brought you here to tell you what already is. The shift you have been praying for, the breakthrough you have cried out for in the middle of the night when the silence felt unbearable, it has already been released. You are simply walking into it now, one step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time. This is not coincidence. Let that settle into your spirit before you go any further. You did not stumble across this message because of an algorithm, because of a lucky scroll, or because you had nothing better to do. God made sure you found this. He moved things out of the way so that your eyes would land here, today, at this exact hour. There are millions of pieces of content competing for your attention at this very moment. And yet here you are, drawn to this specific message on this specific day. That is not a small thing. That is the fingerprint of a God who is absolutely precise in how he moves. And he is moving right now on your behalf in ways that your natural eyes have not yet caught up with. You are a chosen one, not because you are perfect, not because you have it all together, not because your faith has never wavered or your hands have never trembled in fear. You are chosen because God looked at every version of you, the broken version, the doubting version, the version that almost gave up, the version that whispered prayers through tears in the dark. And he said, this is the one I want. This is the one I am sending. This is the one I will use. And nothing you have done or left undone has changed his mind about you. If you can feel something stirring inside you right now, a warmth, a quickening, a sense that something significant is happening, do not dismiss it. That is not emotion. That is confirmation. That is heaven saying, yes, I am talking to you. Stay right here. Do not move. Do not skip ahead. Every single word in this message has been assigned to a specific place in your journey, and the word you need most may be the very next one you hear. You have been through things that most people around you will never fully understand. You have smiled through pain that would have shattered others. You have shown up to your responsibilities on days when getting out of bed felt like climbing a mountain. You have kept going when every logical voice in your head told you to stop. And through all of it, you may have wondered whether any of it mattered, whether God was watching, whether he noticed the quiet sacrifice of a soul that kept choosing faith, even when faith felt like the most unreasonable thing in the room. He noticed, he counted every one. He held every tear in the hollow of his hand. And he has been building something with your pain that your circumstances have not yet been able to show you. Right now, someone watching this is on the edge of making a decision that will cost them everything they have been working toward. Someone is considering walking away, closing a door, giving up on a promise they received from God, because the waiting has stretched so long it no longer feels believable. And this message is the divine interruption. This is God saying, not yet. Do not move yet. Do not close that door yet. Do not let go of that promise yet. The word yet carries more power than most people give it. It means the story is still being written. It means the final chapter has not been read. It means what looks like an ending is actually a setup. Comment out 555 right now if you believe that God is speaking directly to your situation in this moment. Let that number be your declaration that you are not watching this passively, that you are receiving this message as a word from heaven sent specifically for you, because it is. You were not meant to walk into this new season carrying the weight of everything that happened in the last one. God is not asking you to pretend the pain was not real. He is not minimizing what you went through. He is simply saying that what you went through was never the destination. It was the road. And roads exist for one reason: to take you somewhere. The somewhere God has been taking you toward is closer now than it has ever been. You did not come this far to arrive at nothing. You came this far because something is waiting for you on the other side of this moment, and God made absolutely sure you would be here to receive it. Stay with this message. Every section that follows is a piece of a divine blueprint that heaven has designed specifically for this moment in your life. There is something about the way God prepares a person that does not always look like preparation from the outside. From the outside, it looks like delay. It looks like confusion. It looks like a life that should have moved forward by now, but somehow keeps standing still. You have watched people around you seem to accelerate into their seasons while you remained in what felt like a holding pattern, circling the same altitude, unable to land, unable to climb higher. And in those moments, the question that rose up inside you was not always spoken out loud, but it was there, pressing against the walls of your chest, asking whether God had somehow forgotten your name. He did not forget your name. He has never once forgotten your name. In fact, your name has been on his lips through every single moment you thought you were invisible. The holding pattern you were placed in was not neglect. It was navigation. God was not ignoring your coordinates. He was rerouting the entire terrain so that when you finally landed, you would land somewhere worth arriving at. The delay was not a denial. It was a divine recalculation that your limited view from the ground could never have mapped out on its own. Think about the signs that have been showing up around you, the ones you almost dismissed as coincidence but could not quite let go of. A song that came on at the exact moment you needed those words. A stranger who said something that sounded like it came straight out of your most private prayer. A door that closed so hard it felt like rejection, only for you to later realize that what was behind that door would have destroyed you. These were not random occurrences scattered across your life by chance. These were breadcrumbs dropped by a God who was walking ahead of you, marking the path, making sure you could find your way even when the trail seemed to disappear. You carry within you a sensitivity that most people in your life have never been able to fully understand. You feel things deeply. You notice things others overlook. You sense when something is wrong in a room before anyone has spoken a word. You pick up on the unspoken grief of people around you and find yourself carrying burdens that were never yours to carry in the first place. This is not a weakness. This has never been a weakness. This is the equipment of someone called to a purpose that requires more than average perception. God did not make you this sensitive because He wanted you to suffer more than others. He made you this way because the assignment He has placed on your life demands a person who can feel the weight of what others cannot see. The restlessness you have felt, that low hum of something unfinished, something just beyond your reach, something you cannot name but cannot ignore. That restlessness is not anxiety. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is the sound of your destiny calling you forward. It is the pull of a purpose that is larger than your current circumstances, pressing against the edges of the life you are living right now, asking for more room. Chosen ones are rarely comfortable in spaces that are too small for what they carry. And the discomfort you have been feeling is not a malfunction. It is momentum. It is proof that you have not settled. It is evidence that something inside you still believes, even when the outer evidence has been slow to arrive. God has been doing something in the hidden places of your life that the visible places have not yet reflected. There is a work happening beneath the surface, in the root system, in the foundations, in the places that never show up on the outside until suddenly, almost without warning, everything above ground begins to change at once. You have been in that underground season. The season where the growth is real but invisible. The season where the soil is being turned, the nutrients are being distributed, and the roots are going deeper than they have ever gone before, not because things are dying, but because what is about to bloom requires a root system strong enough to hold it. And here is what heaven wants you to understand in this moment. The strange timing of your life, the way certain things have aligned or refused to align, the way this particular message found you on this particular day, none of it is accidental. You are being watched over by a God who does not operate on coincidence. Every piece of what you are experiencing right now is part of an orchestration that has your name written into it. You are not a background character in someone else's story. You are the main subject of a divine narrative that God Himself is authoring, and He does not write stories that end in defeat for the ones He has chosen. If this message is meeting you in a place of weariness, if you have grown tired of waiting, tired of believing, tired of being the one who keeps showing up in faith while the results seem slow to follow, then hear this directly. Your weariness is seen. Your faithfulness in the face of exhaustion is not lost on heaven. God does not measure your devotion only in the moments when it is easy. He measures it in the moments when continuing costs you something real, and you continue anyway. Those are the moments that build a testimony so undeniable that when the breakthrough finally manifests, no one will be able to explain it away. If this message has touched something real inside you today, something you have been needing to hear, would you take a moment to share it with someone who might need it too? There is likely someone in your life right now who is in the middle of their own silent battle. Someone who is questioning their worth, doubting their calling, or standing at a crossroads without a clear sign of which way to go. You could be the reason that person hears exactly what they need to hear today. Simply sharing this message, liking it so that it reaches more people, or subscribing so that you never miss what God might send your way through this channel. Those are small acts that carry a weight far beyond what they appear to be. And if this content has been a source of strength or comfort for you on your journey, if these words have met you in moments when you needed to feel seen and reminded of who you are in God, then you might already know that creating messages like this requires time, prayer, and genuine dedication. If you believe in the value of what is shared here and feel moved to help ensure that it continues, you are welcome to support this channel through the donation link pinned in the comments or found in the description of this video. That is not an obligation. It is never a condition of receiving what God has for you through this space. But for those who feel it in their hearts to give, who want to be a part of keeping this light burning for others who are still finding their way, your support is received with deep and sincere gratitude. And if all you do is show up here and listen, if your presence is the only thing you bring, that too is more than enough. We are genuinely thankful for every soul that finds its way to this message. You are not here to blend in with the crowd. You never were. The very fact that you are still watching, still listening, still leaning in even when a part of you is tired, tells you something important about who you are. Quitters do not last this long. People without purpose do not keep seeking. The ones who make it to the other side of their wilderness are the ones who refuse to stop moving, even when the manna stopped looking the way they expected, and you are still moving. That matters more than you know. The signs you could not explain were never meant to confuse you. They were meant to confirm you. They were heaven's way of writing your name on the wall of the moment, so that, when you finally heard a message like this one, something inside you would recognize it and say, "Yes, that is me. That is exactly what I have been living. That is exactly what I have been feeling." And that recognition is itself a gift, because it means the connection between you and your divine purpose is not broken. It is very much alive, very much active, and very much leading you somewhere that your eyes have not yet seen, but your spirit has already begun to sense. What God placed in you before you were born has not expired. It has not been transferred to someone more qualified. It has not been shelved because of your mistakes or diminished because of your delays. It is still there, fully intact, waiting for the moment you step fully into alignment with what heaven has already declared over your life. And that moment, chosen one, is not as far away as it has felt. There is a kind of pain that does not announce itself loudly. It does not arrive with sirens or visible wounds. It settles in quietly, the way fog settles over a valley in the early hours of the morning, slowly, almost imperceptibly, until one day you look around and realize you can no longer see clearly in any direction. That is the pain you have been carrying. Not the sharp, sudden kind that people around you could easily identify and respond to. The deep, sustained kind. The kind that lives in the space between who you are and who you were always meant to be. The kind that grows out of years of pouring yourself out for others, while quietly wondering whether anyone was pouring anything back into you. You have cried tears that no one witnessed. Not because you were hiding, but because somewhere along the way, you learned that your pain made others uncomfortable, that your needs were somehow inconvenient, that the safest thing to do was to hold it together on the outside, while quietly coming undone on the inside. And so you became extraordinarily good at carrying things invisibly. You became the strong one, the reliable one, the one people turned to when their own worlds were falling apart, never fully realizing that your world had its own fractures running through it. Cracks you had learned to walk around so naturally that even you had started to forget they were there. God sees every single one of those cracks. He has never once looked at the places where you are broken and turned away. He has looked at them the way a master craftsman looks at raw material, not with disappointment, but with vision. In the Japanese tradition of kintsugi, broken pottery is repaired with gold, and the philosophy behind it is profound. The breakage is not hidden, it is honored. The cracks become the most beautiful and valuable part of the piece, more precious after the repair than they were before the breaking. That is what God has been doing in the hidden places of your story. He has been filling your fractures with gold. He has been turning your breaking points into the most luminous parts of who you are becoming. The sleepless nights were not wasted. Every hour you spent staring at the ceiling, rehearsing your fears, replaying your failures, wondering whether God was still in your situation, every single one of those hours was witnessed. Heaven does not sleep. While you were lying awake, God was awake with you, and He was working. He was moving pieces on a board you cannot see. He was having conversations in the spirit realm about your situation that your natural mind has no access to. He was making arrangements that will only make sense to you when you look back from the other side of where you are standing right now and see the full picture of how every sleepless night was somehow necessary to bring you to your breakthrough. You have been misunderstood in ways that cut deep, not just by strangers or casual acquaintances, but by people who were supposed to know you, people who claimed to love you, people whose opinions carried weight in your heart. They looked at your sensitivity and called it weakness. They looked at your depth and called it complexity, as if your capacity to feel and think and perceive at the level you do was somehow a burden they had to tolerate rather than a gift they were privileged to be near. They did not see what God sees. And while that rejection left marks on you, marks that are still tender in certain places, those marks do not define your value. They only reveal the limitations of the people who were incapable of recognizing what was standing right in front of them. Not everyone who was placed in your path was placed there to stay. Some people entered your life as teachers, not companions. Some relationships that felt like home were actually classrooms, and the lessons they carried, though painful, were preparing you for a level of discernment that will protect everything God is about to place in your hands. The losses that felt like devastation were sometimes divine redirection. The closed doors that felt like rejection were sometimes God's protection from a version of your future that would have limited you or harmed you in ways you could not have foreseen from where you were standing. You have carried more than most. That is not a statement designed to make you feel special in a shallow way. It is an honest acknowledgement of a truth that heaven has been recording. The weight of what you have endured, the complexity of the battles you have fought, the layers of responsibility and grief and hope and disappointment that you have learned to hold simultaneously, that is not ordinary. The capacity required to walk the road you have walked without completely breaking, without completely losing your faith, without completely abandoning the belief that God is good and that your life still has meaning, that capacity is not common. And it did not develop by accident. It was forged in the specific fires of your specific experience, because God was building something in you that required that level of strength. There is a refinement that only comes through pressure. Gold does not become gold by sitting in comfortable conditions. It becomes gold through heat, through process, through a transformation that is uncomfortable in every stage until the impurities have been separated, and what remains is the pure, luminous thing it was always meant to be. You have been in the fire, not because God abandoned you to it, but because He trusted you to come through it. He did not place more on you than He knew you could carry, even when it felt like the weight was impossible. He knew the tensile strength of what He had built in you, even when you did not. And here is the part that matters deeply in this moment. The pain you have been through was not meant to be the final chapter of your story. It was meant to be the testimony. The thing that stand on the other side of this season and look back, you will be able to say with full conviction, that was where God was doing His greatest work in me. That was the season I could not see clearly, and yet somehow I kept going. That was the valley, and I walked through it, and I came out on the other side with something in me that no comfortable life could have ever produced. The valley was the making of me. God is not finished with you. That might sound like a simple statement, but allow it to carry the full weight of what it means. The same God who formed you before you were born, who numbered your days before one of them came to be, who knit together every part of your personality and gifting and capacity with intentionality and purpose, that God has not looked at your life and decided that the best of it is behind you. He has not looked at your failures and concluded that the original plan is no longer viable. He is not scrambling to come up with a plan B for your life because plan A got complicated. Plan A is still in motion, and every detour, every delay, every painful chapter you have lived through has been incorporated into the plan, not as evidence of deviation, but as essential components of a story that God knew from the beginning would require exactly this kind of depth. The tears you have shed in silence have been heard louder than you know. Scripture tells us that he stores every tear in a bottle, that he records them all in his book. That is not poetic decoration. That is a declaration of how precisely God tracks your pain. He does not lose count. He does not forget the context. He does not look at your grief from a distance with vague sympathy. He is close. He is near to the brokenhearted. Not eventually near. Not near once you have cleaned yourself up. Near right now, in this exact condition, in this exact moment, before anything has changed on the outside. You are not too far gone. You are not too late. You are not too broken. You are not too complicated. You are not too much, and you have never been too little. You are exactly who God said you were when He spoke your identity into existence before the foundations of the world were laid. And what God speaks does not return void. What He declares over a life does not dissolve because the circumstances got hard, or the timeline got long, or the path got difficult to navigate. His word over your life is still standing. It has been standing through every moment you thought you were losing. And it will be standing when this season finally gives way to the one He has been preparing you for all along. The weight you have been carrying was never meant to crush you. It was meant to qualify you. There is a moment in the life of every chosen one when the thing that once felt like their greatest flaw comes the very thing that sets them apart. You have spent years trying to fit into spaces that were never designed to hold what you carry. You have shrunk yourself down, dimmed your light, softened your voice, and carefully edited the fullness of who you are in order to make the people around you more comfortable. You told yourself it was humility. You told yourself it was wisdom. But deep, in the place where your spirit speaks without words, you knew the truth. You were not being humble. You were hiding, and the hiding was costing you something you cannot afford to keep paying. God did not design you for invisibility. He did not pour into you the depth of perception, the breadth of compassion, the intensity of purpose that you carry, only to have you spend your life making yourself smaller so that others would not feel threatened by what He placed in you. The calling on your life is not a quiet, unassuming thing that can be tucked away and brought out occasionally when it is convenient. It is a fire, and fire, by its very nature, cannot be hidden. It produces light that travels beyond its source. It generates heat that changes the temperature of every room it enters. It draws people toward it, not because it demands attention, but because something in the human spirit recognizes warmth and is instinctively pulled toward it. You have been that warmth for people your entire life. You have been the safe place, the listening ear, the steady presence, the voice of reason in rooms that were collapsing into chaos. You have been the one who stayed when others left, who believed when others doubted, who kept the flame of hope burning in situations that most people had already written off as lost causes. And you have done all of this while carrying your own unresolved questions, your own unanswered prayers, your own private battles that you rarely showed anyone because you were too busy being strong for everyone else. But here is what heaven is saying to you right now, directly and without apology. It is your turn. The season of endless pouring out without replenishment is giving way to something new. God is not calling you to stop caring for others. He is calling you to stop doing it at the expense of your own becoming. The assignment ahead of you requires a version of you that is full, not depleted, restored, not running on empty, walking in the awareness of your own value, not constantly seeking external validation to fill the space where your own self-knowledge should live. Your inability to fit into the world around you has never been a design flaw. It has been a design feature. The fish out of water feeling you have carried through so many environments, The sense that you are always slightly out of sync with the people around you, always seeing things at a different angle, always asking questions that make others shift uncomfortably in their seats. That is not social awkwardness. That is consecration. You have been set apart, and set apart things do not blend. They stand out, they disrupt, they create contrast. And contrast is how God makes certain things visible that would otherwise be missed in the sameness of the crowd. The world does not need another person who looks and sounds and thinks exactly like everyone else. The world is not lacking in conformity. What the world is desperately short of are people who are fully awake to who they are in God, fully committed to the assignment they were born to carry, and fully unwilling to trade their divine identity for the temporary comfort of belonging to a crowd that was never meant to be their home. You were not built for the crowd. You were built for the calling. And those two things have never required the same kind of life. Think about the people in Scripture who carried the most significant assignments. None of them were comfortable. None of them were universally liked. None of them moved through life, fitting seamlessly into the social fabric of their time. Joseph was rejected by his own brothers and thrown into a pit before he wore a crown. David was overlooked by his own father before he was anointed by the prophet. Esther lived in exile before she stood in a palace and changed the fate of an entire people. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he heard his name spoken from a burning bush. The pattern is unmistakable. The ones God chooses to use most powerfully are almost always the ones who first had to survive the experience of not belonging anywhere obvious. Your not belonging has been your preparation. Your being overlooked has been your protection. Your being misunderstood has been your insulation from distractions that would have pulled you off the path. God was not punishing you by keeping you on the outside of circles that were never consecrated for your purpose. He was preserving you. He was keeping you separate so that what He placed in you would not be diluted by environments that were incompatible with your calling. And now, having been through what you have been through, having survived what you have survived, having held on to faith in seasons where faith was the only thing you had left, you are emerging as exactly the kind of person your assignment requires. Tested, tried, proven, not perfect, but refined, not without scars but alive, not without questions but still standing. That combination of human vulnerability and divine resilience is not a contradiction. It is the credential that qualifies you for the next chapter of your story. If these messages have been a source of light on your journey, if you have found yourself returning to this space when you needed to be reminded of who you are and what you carry, would you consider sharing this with someone in your circle today? There is a real possibility that someone you know is sitting in a season that feel exactly like what has been described in these words. Someone who is questioning their value, doubting their calling, or wondering whether God has forgotten them. Your single act of sharing could be the divine delivery mechanism that gets this message to the person who needs it most. Like this video if it has spoken to something real in you, and subscribe so that you never find yourself separated from a message that God might be using this channel to send your way in a critical moment. And if you have been walking with this channel for a while, if these words have met you in the tender places and helped carry you through seasons that felt impossible, and if you feel a genuine desire to help ensure that this kind of content continues to reach the people who need it, you are welcome to support the channel through the donation link available in the pinned comment or in the description of this video. There is no pressure attached to that invitation. It is extended only to those who feel it freely in their hearts Those who understand that this work requires both spiritual dedication and practical sustenance, and who want to be a part of keeping it alive for every soul that has not yet found their way here. Whether you give or whether you simply show up and receive, we are deeply and genuinely grateful for your presence in this space. You were never meant to fit in. Say that out loud if you can. You were never meant to fit in. Because fitting in was always the smaller story, the safer story, the story that asks nothing of you and gives back exactly that. God wrote a larger story over your life, a story that required the unusual path, the difficult terrain, the seasons of isolation and refining and reconstruction. All of it was intentional. All of it was purposeful. All of it was leading somewhere that the comfortable, fitting version of your life could never have taken you. The world around you is about to encounter a version of you that has been shaped by everything you survived. Not a version that wears its pain as a badge of victimhood, but a version that carries its history as a testimony of what God can do in a life that chooses to keep saying yes, even when yes is the hardest word in the room. That version of you is not coming. That version of you is already here, standing in the hallway of this new season, hand on the door, about to step into everything that was always meant to be yours. The door is about to open. Stay ready. There is something the enemy understood about you long before you understood it about yourself. Before you knew your name carried weight in the spirit realm. Before you recognized that your life was marked for a purpose beyond the ordinary. Before you had language for the calling that has been burning inside you since before you drew your first breath, the enemy already knew. And everything that has come against you, every coordinated attack, every strategic obstacle, every relationship turned toxic, every opportunity that dissolved at the last moment, every season of inexplicable warfare that left you exhausted and confused, none of it was random. None of it was bad luck. None of it was simply the result of a difficult world treating everyone the same way. You were targeted because you are a threat. Let that truth land in your spirit without you deflecting it or minimizing it out of false humility. The level of resistance you have encountered in your life is directly proportional to the level of impact your assignment carries. Small assignments do not attract heavy warfare. Ordinary lives do not require extraordinary attacks. The enemy does not waste strategic energy on people who pose no danger to his agenda. But you, the real you, the fully awakened, fully commissioned, fully walking in purpose version of you, that version of you dismantles things in the spirit realm that the enemy has spent considerable effort constructing. And he knew that before you did. Think about the timing of the attacks in your life. Think about how they clustered around your moments of greatest potential. Just as you were about to step into something significant, something shifted. Just as a door was opening, something came to distract you, discourage you, or disqualify you in your own mind. Just as your faith was building toward a breakthrough, something arrived to challenge the very foundation of what you believed. That pattern is not coincidence. It is a strategy. And strategies are only deployed against targets that matter. You have been a target because you matter. Your life matters. Your calling matters. Your voice, your presence, your assignment in this generation matters more than the enemy ever wanted you to realize. The attacks on your relationships were not accidental. The enemy understands the power of isolation. He knows that a chosen one who is surrounded by the right people, affirmed by genuine community, and connected to others who can speak into their purpose is exponentially more dangerous to his kingdom than one who is alone, misunderstood, and questioning their own perception of reality. And so the relationships that should have been safe were made complicated. people who should have been your greatest supporters became sources of confusion or pain. The communities that should have felt like home felt like performance spaces where you could never quite be your full self without consequences. That isolation was engineered. It was not a reflection of your unworthiness of deep connection. It was a deliberate strategy to keep you from the kind of relationships that would have accelerated your growth, confirmed your calling, and sent you into your assignment with the momentum of genuine spiritual community behind you. The loneliness you have carried is not evidence that you are unlovable, or difficult, or too much. It is evidence that the enemy recognized what the right relationships would have produced in your life, and he worked to prevent it. But here is what the enemy consistently miscalculates. He can disrupt the timeline, but he cannot destroy the destiny. He can delay the connections, but he cannot permanently sever what God has ordained to come together. The setbacks you experienced in your work, your finances, your health, your plans were also not random. Every time you built something that was beginning to align with your purpose, something came to knock it down. Every time you gathered momentum, something arrived to slow it. And after enough cycles of building and losing, something in you began to wonder whether the building was even worth it, whether the effort was justified when the results kept slipping through your fingers, whether perhaps you had been wrong about your calling altogether, and the repeated failures were God's way of redirecting you towards something more modest, more realistic, more appropriate for someone like you. That thought was a lie. And it was a crafted lie, specifically designed for the architecture of your particular insecurity. The enemy does not use generic weapons. He is a student of your history, your wounds, your patterns of doubt, and he tailors his accusations to fit the specific shape of your vulnerability. For some people, the lie is that they are too visible. For you, the lie may have been that you are not visible enough, not qualified enough, not consistent enough, not special enough to deserve the magnitude of what you sensed God was calling you toward. And the repeated setbacks were used as evidence to support that lie. A trail of Exhibit A and Exhibit B and Exhibit C, all seemingly pointing to the same conclusion. But evidence assembled by the enemy is never the full picture. It is a curated selection of your lowest moments, stripped of context, stripped of the growth that happened inside them, stripped of what God was building in you through each one. The enemy shows you the rubble. God shows you the foundation. And a foundation, unlike a structure, is invisible until something begins to rise from it. You have been in the foundation season. The most important work has been happening below the surface, in the invisible places, in the character development, and the spiritual deepening, and the emotional maturation that no one could photograph or post or point to as evidence of progress. But it has been happening. Every single day it has been happening. There is a difference between someone who has never been attacked and someone who has been attacked repeatedly and is still standing. The person who has never faced serious warfare has no tested faith, no proven resilience, no experiential knowledge of God's faithfulness in the darkest places. But the person who has walked through what you have walked through and is still here, still breathing, still believing, still showing up, that person carries something that cannot be taught in a classroom or downloaded from a sermon. It can only be forged in the fire of lived experience, and it is one of the most valuable things a human being can possess. You are not damaged goods. You are battle-tested. There is an enormous difference between those two things, and heaven wants you to understand which one you actually are. The scars you carry are not signs of defeat. They are signs of survival. They are the proof that what came against you was real, that the warfare was genuine, and that you came through it anyway. A soldier who has never seen battle is theoretical. A soldier who has faced the full force of the enemy and is still standing is proven. You are proven. And proven people carry a credibility in the spirit that untested people simply do not have access to yet. The enemy overplayed his hand with you. In his attempt to destroy you, he drove you deeper into God than comfort ever would have taken you. In his attempt to isolate you, he stripped away the distractions that would have kept you too busy to develop the depth of relationship with your Creator that you now carry. In his attempt to exhaust you through relentless warfare, he unknowingly built in you an endurance that will sustain you through the magnitude of what God is about to release into your hands. Every attack was turned. Every weapon was redirected. Every strategy designed to end you was transformed in the hands of a sovereign God into a tool for your advancement. Romans chapter 8 verse 28 does not say that all things feel good. It does not say that all things look good from the middle of them. It says that all things work together for good to those who love God and are called according to His purpose. You love God. You are called according to His purpose. And all things, every painful thing, every confusing thing, every devastating thing you have walked through is working together. The working together is happening right now, in this moment, in ways you cannot fully see yet, but your spirit is beginning to sense. The enemy saw your destiny before you did, but God has seen it longer than either of you. And what God has spoken over your life has not been and cannot be undone by anything the enemy has thrown at it. The attacks were real. The pain was real. And the victory is just as real, already declared, already sealed, already written in a book that was finished before the warfare even began. You were targeted because you are a threat, and you are still here. That means the threat is still active. There are moments in a person's life that do not look significant from the outside, but are, in the economy of heaven, the most consequential moments of their entire journey. A quiet Tuesday afternoon, a message found while scrolling through a sea of noise, a pause in the middle of an ordinary day that somehow does not feel ordinary at all. You are in one of those moments right now. Not because of anything dramatic happening around you, but because of what is happening within you. Something has shifted in the atmosphere of your spirit, and you can feel it, even if you cannot yet name it. That feeling is not imagination. That feeling is the breath of heaven moving across the surface of a life that is about to change direction in the most beautiful way. You are standing at a crossroads. Not the kind that announces itself with flashing signs and clear directions, but the quiet kind, the kind that looks from the outside like just another ordinary moment, while everything in the spirit realm is holding its breath, waiting to see which way you will lean. This is the kind of crossroads that does not give you the luxury of perfect information before you have to make a choice. It asks you to move based on what you believe rather than what you can see. It requires the kind of faith that steps onto the water before it has any evidence that the water will hold. And God brought you to this specific crossroads at this specific moment because He has already seen what is on the other side of the step He is asking you to take. Every chosen one arrives at this place eventually, the place where the familiar, however painful or limiting, begins to feel safer than the unknown, however glorious it might be. The known quantity of your current struggle has a strange comfort in it, because at least you understand its shape. You have learned how to navigate it. You have developed coping mechanisms for its specific weight. But the unknown that God is calling you toward has no manual, no map, no previous version of yourself that you can draw from. for instructions. It asks you to trust a God you cannot see, following a plan you cannot fully read, toward a destination you can only sense in the deep places of your spirit. And that is exactly the kind of faith that moves mountains. Not the faith that knows all the answers before it takes the step, but the faith that takes the step precisely because it trusts the one who knows all the answers. Abraham did not know where he was going when God told him to leave everything familiar behind. He simply knew who was doing the calling, and he decided that was enough. Ruth did not know what awaited her in Bethlehem when she refused to leave Naomi's side. She simply knew that the God of her mother-in-law was worthy of that kind of devotion, and she walked forward into the unknown with a loyalty that would eventually position her in the lineage of kings. The pattern of the chosen one is not the pattern of perfect clarity. It is the pattern of courageous trust in the face of incomplete information. What is God asking you to trust Him with right now? What is the thing you have been holding back, keeping in your own hands, managing and controlling and trying to engineer toward the outcome you need, because the alternative, truly releasing it to God, feels too vulnerable, too uncertain, too much like free fall? That thing, whatever it is for you in this moment, is the very thing your next season hinges on. Not because God is waiting to be impressed by your willingness to let go, but because what He has prepared for you in that area requires His hands to be on it rather than yours. Your hands, however capable and well-intentioned, are limited by what you can see. His hands are operating with full knowledge of everything that is coming, everything that is needed, and the most precise and effective way to bring it all together. The crossroads you are standing at is not asking you to give up your faith. It is asking you to expand it. To move from the faith that believes God can do great things in general to the faith that believes God is doing a great thing specifically in your life right now. In this exact situation that looks the least promising from the outside. That specific faith, the kind that looks at an impossible situation and says, "I do not know how, but I know who." That faith is what unlocks the next chapter of your story. And here is what God wants you to know about the timing of this moment. You have not missed it. That fear has visited you more than once. The fear that the window has closed, that the season has passed, that the version of your life that was supposed to carry the fullness of your purpose was available for a time, but has now moved beyond your reach. That fear is a lie built on a misunderstanding of how God operates. He does not work on a window schedule that closes permanently when your circumstances do not align in time. He works on a sovereign timeline that accounts for every delay, every detour, every moment of human weakness and divine grace, and He arrives at the appointed time, having never once been late. Your appointed time is not behind you. It is not something you are waiting for from a distance. It is converging on this present moment from every direction at once, carried in on the same breath that brought this message to your ears today. The crossroads you are standing at is not a test to see whether you deserve what God has for you. It is an invitation to participate in the receiving of what He has already determined to give you. And the only response it requires is a yes that comes from the deepest, most honest place in your spirit. If this message has met you at a crossroads today, if something in these words has spoken directly to a decision you are facing, a threshold you have been standing at for longer than feels comfortable, then let this be your sign. Not a sign to move recklessly, but a sign to move faithfully. Not a sign to abandon wisdom, but a sign to stop letting fear dress itself up as wisdom and convince you to stay still when God is calling you forward. And if this channel has been a place where you have found the courage to keep moving, where the messages have arrived at exactly the right moments to give you what you needed to take the next step. Would you share it with someone today who might be standing at their own crossroads? Someone who is frozen by the fear of what lies on the other side of their yes. Someone who needs to hear that God is not asking them for perfection, only for trust. Your act of sharing might be the exact thing that tips the balance for someone who is right on the edge of stepping into everything God has for them. Subscribing and liking this video are also simple ways to ensure that this message reaches the people heaven is already directing toward it. If you have been blessed by this content and feel moved in your heart to support the continuation of this work, the donation link is available in the pinned comment and in the description of this video. Every message on this channel is created with genuine prayer and dedication. And your support, if you feel led to give it, makes it possible to keep this space open for every chosen one who has not yet found their way here. But whether you give or whether you simply receive today, you are valued. And you are welcome here without condition. The crossroads is not your enemy. It is your invitation. Every great story has a turning point, a moment where the trajectory of everything changes based on a single decision. You are living inside your turning point right now. And the God who brought you to this moment has already written what comes next with full knowledge of your willingness to say yes to Him here. The waiting is over. The preparation is complete. The season of surviving is giving way to the season of stepping in. And the step is not as terrifying as the enemy has been telling you it is. Because you will not be taken to crossroads, the one who called you through walking beside you through everything that lies on the other side of it. Say yes, it is time. There is a release that heaven has been holding in reserve for you, not because God was withholding it out of reluctance, but because timing in the kingdom is never arbitrary. What God releases, He releases at the precise moment when the vessel is ready to carry it, when the ground is prepared to receive it, and when the impact of its arrival will produce the maximum fruit in the minimum time. You have been in the preparation phase, the long, quiet, sometimes agonizing preparation phase where nothing on the outside seemed to be moving, while everything on the inside was being reconstructed at the most fundamental level. And that phase, the one that felt like stagnation, but was actually transformation, is drawing to a close. What God is about to release over your life is not a small adjustment to your current circumstances. It is not a minor improvement on the version of your life you have been living. It is a categorical shift, a movement from one dimension of living to another. The kind of change that does not just add to what already exists, but fundamentally reorders the entire landscape of your daily reality. Open doors that have been sealed shut for seasons are about to become accessible. Relationships that carry genuine kingdom purpose are about to be positioned in your path. Resources that felt impossibly out of reach are about to find their way to the hands of someone whose character has been proven in the waiting. God does not promote people to positions their character cannot sustain. This is one of the most important principles in the kingdom, and one of the most frequently misunderstood. People look at the delay in their promotion and assume it is evidence of God's disapproval or their own inadequacy. But more often than not, the delay is God's mercy. It is Him ensuring that when the elevation comes, you will not be destroyed by it, that the weight of what He is receiving will land on a foundation strong enough to hold it, that the favor He is about to pour out will find a person who has been shaped by enough humility, enough experience, enough genuine dependence on God to steward it with wisdom rather than squander it in the immaturity of an earlier season. You are that person now. Not the version of you from 3 years ago, before the fire. Not the version of you from the beginning of this difficult season, before the breaking and the rebuilding. The version of you that exists right now, having survived what you survived, having held on to faith through what most people would have used as justification to walk away. That version of you is ready for what is coming. And what is coming is unlike anything you have allowed yourself to fully believe for. Begin to expand your capacity for expectation. Not the wishful thinking kind that sits passively and hopes for the best. The aggressive, faith-fueled, spiritually grounded expectation of someone who knows their God and knows what He has said, and refuses to let the delay convince them that the promise has been canceled. Expectation is not arrogance. It is alignment. It is the posture of a soul that has read the promises of God and made the decision to take them personally, to receive them as literal declarations about a specific life, and to position itself accordingly. The favor that is coming toward you will be visible. That is important to understand because there have been seasons where God's movement in your life was almost entirely invisible, felt only in the spirit and rarely confirmed in the natural. The coming season is different. What God is about to do in and around your life will be the kind of thing that causes the people who watched you struggle to stand with their mouths open. The people who doubted you, the people who quietly wrote you off, the people who could not understand why you kept believing when the evidence seemed so consistently stacked against you. They are about to witness something they cannot explain away, something that has the fingerprints of God all over it and cannot be attributed to luck or timing or human ingenuity alone. Your story is to become undeniable testimony, not for your glory, but for the glory of the one who authored it. God has been writing something through the chapters of your life that, when read in full, will be one of the most compelling arguments for His faithfulness that anyone in your sphere of influence has ever encountered. The people who are watching your life right now, even from a distance, even the ones who have never said a word to you about faith or God or purpose, are about to see something through your story that will plant a seed in them that no sermon ever could. Your testimony will reach people that pulpits cannot reach. Your life, lived in the open, will carry a weight of evidence for God's goodness that will outlast your words. The restoration that is coming is comprehensive. It is not selective. God is not going to restore one area of your life while leaving others in ruin. The restoration that has been prepared for this season of your life touches every dimension of who you are. In your health, there is a restoration coming. In your peace of mind, a restoration coming. In your finances, a restoration coming. In your relationships, a restoration that will bring back what was stolen and add to it what was promised. In your sense of identity and purpose, a restoration so complete that you will look back at the person you were in the depths of the difficult season and barely recognize the smallness of the life you had accepted as normal. Do not make the mistake of limiting what God can do in this season by the template of what He has done before. He is not bound by your history. He is not constrained by what you have previously experienced as the ceiling of His provision. He is not going to reproduce what He did in your last season of blessing and call it the fulfillment of what He has promised for this one. This season carries a different instruction, a different scale, a different scope of impact. And the only thing that can limit what you receive from it is the smallness of what you are willing to believe for. Dare to believe for the thing that feels too large. Dare to bring before God the desire that you have been too afraid to voice out loud because it felt presumptuous, felt too big for someone like you, felt like the kind of thing that happens to other people, in other stories, but not in the ordinary narrative of your own life. God is not intimidated by large requests from small people. He is not moved away from you by the audacity of your faith. He is moved toward you. He is drawn to the person who looks at the impossible and says, "But God, you said." He is drawn to the faith that takes him at his word, even when the circumstances offer no supporting evidence. Take him at his word right now. Whatever promise you have been carrying, whatever word spoken over your life in a church service or a quiet moment of prayer, or through a passage of scripture that seemed to leap off the page and land directly in your spirit, take it back out and hold it up before heaven again. Dust it off. Breathe life back into it. Refuse to let it die on the altar of disappointment, because the God who spoke it has not forgotten it. He has been building toward its fulfillment through every season you have lived since the moment it was spoken, and the building is almost complete. The open doors that are coming are not going to require you to force your way through them. They will open with a smoothness that will itself be evidence of God's hand at work. Doors that you pushed against for years without movement will swing open without effort. Opportunities that you could never have manufactured or engineered on your own will present themselves with a natural steadfast, the complexity of what it would have taken to make them happen through human means alone. That is, what divine favor looks like in its most visible form. Not strain, not striving, not exhausting human effort, producing minimal results, but a graceful unfolding of precisely what God ordained, arriving exactly when He said it would, in a form more beautiful than you had the imagination to request. The shift is already in motion. The doors are already beginning to move. The favor is already traveling toward you through channels you cannot see. And the life that is waiting on the other side of this season is not a consolation prize for a person who barely survived. It is the inheritance of a chosen one who held on long enough to receive it. Get ready. What God is about to release over your life will require all of you to contain it. There is a word that God has been waiting for you to say. Not because He needs your permission to move in your life, but because the architecture of the kingdom was designed around the principle of human cooperation with divine intention. God does not override the will of the people He loves. He invites them. He draws them. He positions them at the exact place where a single act of surrender can unlock what years of striving could never produce. And you have arrived at that place. The word He is waiting for is not complicated. It does not require eloquence or perfect theology or a pristine record of unbroken obedience. It requires only honesty and the willingness to mean it when you say it. The word is yes. Not a conditional yes. Not a yes that comes with a list of attached requirements about how God must respond and in what time frame and through which specific channels. A clean yes. A yes that sounds like, I trust you with all of it, with the parts I understand and the parts I do not, with the parts that are beautiful and the parts that are still broken, with the future I can imagine and the future that is beyond my imagination entirely. That kind of yes does not come from a place of having figured everything out. It comes from a place of having tried everything else and discovered that the only thing that actually holds is the faithfulness of a God who has never once stopped being good, even when your circumstances told a different story. Obedience in the kingdom is not the heavy, joyless compliance that religion sometimes makes it appear to be. It is not a grinding submission to a set of rules designed to restrict your freedom and diminish your humanity. True obedience is the most liberating act a human being can perform, because it is the moment when you stop carrying the full weight of your own future in your own hands and transfer it to the only set of hands that has ever been truly capable of holding it. Every moment you have spent trying to engineer your own breakthrough, trying to force open doors that were not yet ready, trying to manufacture the outcomes you needed through sheer will and human cleverness, every one of those moments cost you something. Energy, peace, the particular quality of rest that comes only to the soul that has genuinely let go. God is asking you to let go right now, not of your dreams, not of the promises He has spoken over your life, not of the hope that has somehow survived every attempt the enemy made to extinguish it. He is asking you to let go of the control, the need to know exactly how it is going to work before you agree to trust Him with it, the demand for a clear and detailed blueprint before you take the next step of faith. That is not faith. That is a negotiation, and God is not negotiating with you. He is inviting you. There is a profound difference, and the difference matters because one posture closes your hands and the other opens them. Think about the specific area of your life where surrender feels most impossible right now. The area where you hold on the tightest, where the thought of truly releasing control produces the most anxiety, where the gap between what God has promised and what you can currently see is the widest and most disorienting. That is almost certainly the exact area where God is asking for your yes, not because He is cruel or because He enjoys asking for what is hardest, but because the place of your tightest grip is almost always the place where your trust has not yet been fully established. And trust established through surrender in the hardest place produces a freedom that nothing else can replicate. Peter walked on water, not because he was the most qualified disciple, not because his faith record was the most impressive, not because he had demonstrated the most consistent track record of getting it right. He walked on water because he was the one willing to get out of the boat. The other disciples stayed where it was rational to stay, where the risk was manageable, where the floor was solid and the outcome was predictable. Peter chose the impossible and found that the impossible held him. Your yes is your getting out of the boat, and the water will hold you, not because of the strength of your faith, but because of the faithfulness of the one who called you out onto it. There is an obedience that God has been waiting on from you specifically. Something He placed on your heart in a quiet moment that you have been circling around rather than stepping into. A conversation you have been postponing. A decision you have been deferring. A step of faith you have been qualifying with endless conditions rather than simply taking. That thing, whatever it is for you in the privacy of your own spirit, is the hinge. It is the single point around which the entire next chapter of your life is waiting to swing open. And the most important thing you need to understand about it is this: the timing for it is now, not when you feel more ready, not when the circumstances look more favorable, not when the fear has completely subsided. Now, in this exact condition, with exactly the level of faith you currently carry, God is saying it is enough. Move. The yes that unlocks your inheritance does not have to be loud. It does not have to happen in a dramatic public moment with witnesses and music and an altar call. It can happen right where you are sitting in this moment, in the quiet of your own heart, between you and the God who already knows what you are about to say. A whispered yes in private carries the same power in the kingdom as a shouted yes in a stadium. Because God does not measure the volume of your surrender. He measures its sincerity. If the words in this section have landed in the specific place where your surrender has been delayed, if something in you has recognized the thing God has been waiting for you to release, take a moment right now, right here, before you move to the next section, before the momentum of the moment carries you past it. Pause, breathe, and give God the yes He has been waiting for. It will cost you the illusion of control, and it will give you back something immeasurably more valuable in its place. If this channel has been the place where God has met you in moments exactly like this one, where the words have arrived with a precision that felt personal rather than general, would you take a moment to share this message with someone in your life who might be at their own point of surrender today? Someone who is holding on too tightly to something they were never meant to carry alone. Sharing this video, liking it so that it travels further, subscribing so that you remain connected to every message God sends through this space. These are small acts with potentially enormous consequences for people who are one message away from the breakthrough they have been waiting for. And if you have been walking with this channel for a season, if these messages have been woven into the story of your own journey with God in a way that has added genuine value to your life, and if your heart feels moved to support the continuation of this work, the donation link is available in the pinned comment below and in the description of this video. It is there for those who feel it freely, those who understand that sustaining this kind of content requires both spiritual investment and practical support, and who want to be a part of ensuring that it continues to reach every chosen one who has not yet heard their name spoken over them the way heaven speaks it. If that is not where you are today, your presence here is its own form of partnership, and we receive it with genuine gratitude. The yes that changes everything is already forming in your spirit. You can feel it rising. The resistance is losing its grip. The fear that has kept you circling the edge of your surrender is beginning to lose its authority over your decision. Because something in you has been reminded today of who is on the other side of the yes. Not an unpredictable force, not a demanding taskmaster, but a father who has been waiting with extraordinary patience and extraordinary love for the moment when his child finally trusts him enough to let go completely. The moment is here, the yes is ready, and everything that has been waiting on the other side of your surrender has been ready for longer than you know. Let go, say yes, and watch what heaven does next. Something is happening in the spirit realm right now that your natural eyes cannot see, but your spirit has already begun to perceive. There is a sealing taking place, a commissioning, a moment in which heaven is marking you with something that cannot be removed by circumstance, cannot be stolen by the enemy, and cannot be diluted by the opinions of people who do not have access to what God has spoken over your life. This is not a metaphor. This is not inspirational language designed to make you feel good for the duration of a message. This is a spiritual reality unfolding in real time, in this exact moment, as these words reach the ears of someone whose name heaven has been speaking with increasing urgency as this season has drawn toward its close. You are being set apart, not in the way that isolation sets a person apart, with loneliness and confusion, and the aching sense of being left out of something everyone else seems to have access to. This is a different kind of setting apart. This is the setting apart of a jewel being lifted from the dust of ordinary circumstances and placed where its light can finally be seen for what it truly is. This is the setting apart of a voice that has been silent, too long being given a platform proportional to the weight of what it carries. This is the setting apart of a life that has been lived in the background, being moved with deliberate divine intention toward the foreground of its own story. A torchbearer is not born in a moment of comfort. A torchbearer is forged in darkness. It is the person who has lived long enough in the absence of light to understand with their entire being what light means, what it costs, what it is worth, and what happens to people who are left without it. You have lived in enough darkness to understand this in a way that no amount of theory or theology could have taught you. You know what it feels like to reach for something solid in the middle of the cold night and find nothing. You know what it sounds like when the silence of heaven feels deafening. You know what it takes to keep believing when belief is the most expensive thing on the table. And because you know these things from the inside, from lived experience rather than borrowed wisdom, you are qualified to carry a torch that will mean seeing something real to the people walking in the darkness you once navigated. The commission God is placing on your life in this season is not a gentle suggestion. It is not a tentative invitation that you can take or leave based on how convenient it feels. It is a divine assignment with your name on it, sealed in the purposes of heaven. And the world around you is waiting, whether it knows it or not, for you to step fully into it. There are people whose lives are directly connected to the obedience you walk in from this moment forward. People who will find their way because you found yours. People who will believe that God is still good because they watched what He did in your story. People who will step off ledges of despair because your testimony became the hand that reached them in time. This is the weight of what it means to be chosen. It is not primarily about what you receive, though the blessings of this season will be real and they will be significant. It is about what you become and what you release into the world as a result of becoming it. God does not invest the extraordinary level of preparation He has invested in your life simply to make your life more comfortable. He invests it because He is building something through you that is intended to outlast you, to reach beyond your immediate circle, to carry His light into corners of the world that need exactly the specific frequency of what He has placed in you. Your gifts are not decorative. Your voice is not incidental. Your story is not a private matter between you and God that has no relevance to anyone else. Your gifts are tools assigned to a specific task. Your voice is a frequency designed to reach specific ears that no other voice is calibrated to reach in quite the same way. Your story is a testimony that carries within it the precise evidence that someone, somewhere, needs in order to believe that their own story does not have to end where it currently looks like it is heading. You are not just a recipient of God's grace, you are a carrier of it. And the carrying is about to become visible in ways that the preparation season never allowed. The marking of heaven on your life produces something that the world has no natural category for. It produces a quality of peace that does not depend on peaceful circumstances, a quality of joy that does not require everything to be going well in order to be present, a quality of confidence that is not rooted in your own ability, but in your settled knowledge of whose ability is operating through you. These are the fruits of a life that has been genuinely sealed and commissioned by God, not performed for an audience, not manufactured through spiritual discipline alone, but produced organically in a life that has been broken open by difficulty and filled back up by the faithfulness of a God who wastes nothing. You are marked, and what marks you is not your perfection. What marks you is His presence. The presence of God on a human life is the most disruptive, most transformative, most irresistibly attractive thing this world has ever encountered. When Moses came down from the mountain, his face was shining, not because he had tried to make it shine, but because he had been in the presence of God and the encounter left its mark on him visibly. You have been in the presence of God through this season. Through the valley, through the fire, through the waiting, through every dark night of the soul that drove you to your knees when standing felt impossible. And the encounter has left its mark on you, even if you cannot yet see it in the mirror. Others will see it before you do. people will begin to notice something different about you, a quality in your eyes, a settledness in your spirit, a groundedness that was not there before the difficult season shaped it into existence. They will not always be able to articulate what they are seeing, but they will be drawn to it. They will want to be near it. They will want to know what you carry and where it came from and how they can access something similar for their own lives. And that will be your open door into the conversations, the relationships, and the platforms that your assignment requires. Right now, in this moment, as you feel the weight of what is being spoken over you, comment the words "I am sealed" beneath this video. Let those 3 words be your declaration before heaven that you receive this commissioning, that you accept this marking, that you are not stepping back from the magnitude of what God is placing in your hands, but stepping fully into it with whatever you currently have, knowing that He will add everything else as you move. 3 words, "I am sealed." Type them right now in the comments as your agreement with heaven that the season of hiding is over and the season of shining has officially begun. Let those words be the sound of a soul that has recognized its divine marking and chosen, in this exact moment, to walk in the full weight of it without apology and without shrinking back. When you type "I am sealed," you are not just leaving a comment, you are making a declaration that echoes in the spirit realm, that goes on record before heaven, that says, "I know who I belong to, I know what has been placed in me, and I am stepping into it now." So type it. Let it be the sound of your yes made visible. There is a generation of people who are waiting for the you that emerges from this season. Young men and women who need to see what it looks like to walk in faith without having everything figured out. Broken people who need to know that God does not only use the polished and the pristine, but also the cracked and the reconstructed. Weary souls who have almost given up on believing that their life can still carry meaning and impact and beauty after everything they have walked through. They are waiting, and your willingness to step into your commissioning is what makes you available to them. The torchbearer does not light their own torch. It is lit by the fire of God and handed to the one He has chosen to carry it. And the carrying itself is what keeps it burning. Every step you take in obedience adds fuel. Every act of surrender adds brightness. Every moment you choose to believe when unbelief would be easier adds to the reach of the flame that is already burning in you, already drawing people toward it, already doing the work of a commissioned life even before you have fully understood the scope of what you are carrying. You have been sealed. You have been marked. You have been commissioned. Heaven has signed its name over your life in a way that no opposition can erase and no delay could ever undo. The torch is in your hands, and the world needs your light. You have made it to this moment, not by accident, not by the sheer force of your own determination, though your determination through this season has been extraordinary. You made it here because the same God who ordained this message also ordained the path that brought you to it, clearing away every distraction, quieting every competing voice, and making sure that on this particular day, at this particular hour, you would be exactly where you are right now, receiving exactly what heaven prepared for you to receive. That is not a small thing. That is the signature of a God who is involved in the details of your life at a level that your mind will never fully be able to comprehend. Everything that has been spoken over you in the course of this message has been building toward this moment. The confirmation of your identity, the acknowledgement of your pain, the exposure of the enemy's strategy against you, the declaration of the shift that is coming, the call to surrender and obedience, the sealing and commissioning of your purpose. Each section has been a layer, and the layers have been building something in you as you listened, something that is now more solid, more settled, and more aligned with what heaven says about you than it was when you first pressed play. You are not the same person you were at the beginning of this message. Something has moved. Something has been established. And what God establishes, no force on earth or beneath it can disestablish. Before we close this sacred time together, there is one more thing that feels not just appropriate but necessary. It is a moment of prayer, not a formal religious exercise performed for the sake of tradition. A genuine, honest conversation between your spirit and the God who has been speaking to you through every word of this message. You do not need to prepare yourself for it. You do not need to find the right words or the right posture or the right emotional state. Come exactly as you are. God has always been most moved by the prayers that arrive without pretense, the ones that carry nothing but the honest weight of a soul that simply needs to speak to its Creator. If you are willing, pray these words from the place where you mean them most deeply. Father, I thank you for this moment. I thank you that you made sure I found this message today, that you cleared the path and quieted the noise and brought me to this place of receiving. I acknowledge that I have not always understood what you were doing in my life. There have been seasons where the silence felt like absence and the delay felt like denial. But I choose today to believe what your word says over what my circumstances have shown me. I receive the identity you have spoken over me. I receive the sealing and the commissioning that heaven has declared in this moment. I release the control I have been holding. I release the fear that has been keeping me at the edge of my yes without fully stepping into it. Take every broken piece of my story and do what only you can do with it. Let my life become the testimony that reaches the people who need to see that you are faithful, that you restore, that you do not waste a single thing. I am yours, I am ready, and I trust you with everything that comes next. In the name of Jesus, amen. If those words rose in your spirit with sincerity, something just shifted in the realm that governs your circumstances. Hold on to what was settled in you today. Write it down. Return to this message in the moments when the enemy tries to talk you out of what God just confirmed. Because the confirmations you receive today is real, it is lasting, and it belongs to you. Now there is something I want to share with you with complete honesty, from one heart to another. This channel exists entirely as an act of ministry. YouTube removed monetization from this channel, and the decision was made without hesitation to keep going anyway. Because this was never about income, it was always about you. It was always about the chosen one who finds their way here in the middle of a season that has pushed them to the edge of their faith, who needs to hear that God has not forgotten their name, who needs a voice in their ear that speaks the language of their destiny when everything around them is speaking the language of defeat. That person matters more than any platform policy. And so the videos keep coming, created entirely out of a sense of calling and a genuine love for the people God sends to this space. But creating content with this level of care and spiritual investment does require time, dedication, and very real practical resources. And so, if this channel has been a source of genuine strength on your journey, if these messages have met you in the tender places and helped carry you through seasons that needed carrying, and if something in your heart feels genuinely and freely moved to help keep this ministry going, there is a donation link available in the pinned comment below this video and in the description. It is placed there not as a condition of anything you receive here, not as a pressure or an obligation, but as an open door for those who feel it in their hearts to walk through. Every contribution, whatever its size, goes directly into the continuation of this work, into the next message that reaches the next chosen one at their most critical moment. If that resonates with you, thank you from a place that words can barely reach. And if today you simply receive and give, nothing back in the material sense, you are just as valued, just as welcomed, and just as celebrated in this space as anyone who gives. If this message has spoken to something real in you today, would you share it before you leave? Not because this channel needs the numbers, but because somewhere in your network of relationships, there is a person who is in the season this message was written for. Someone who is questioning their worth. Someone who is one more disappointment away from letting go of the promise God placed in their heart. Someone who needs to hear that the targeting they have experienced is evidence of their significance and not evidence of their failure. Your sharing of this video could be the divinely timed intervention that changes the entire trajectory of their story. Like this video so that heaven can use the platform to carry it further. Subscribe so that you never find yourself separated from a message that God might use this channel to send you in a critical future moment. These are small gestures with a reach that extends far beyond what either of us can calculate. Your story is not over. Let that land with the full weight it deserves. The chapters that have felt the darkest, the ones that made you wonder whether God was still in your story at all, those chapters were never the final word. They were the preparation. And the preparation has produced in you exactly the kind of person that the chapters ahead require. Tested, refined, proven, grateful, alive to the faithfulness of a God who never once let go of you, even when you could not feel his grip. The open doors are swinging, the favor is moving, the restoration is on its way. The relationships, the resources, the platforms, the opportunities, all of it has been held in trust by a God who knew exactly when you would be ready to steward it. And that time is now, not next year, not when you feel more prepared, not after one more season of waiting. Now, you are God's chosen one. You were chosen before you knew what being chosen cost. You were marked before you understood what the mark meant. You were sent before you felt ready to go. And today, through every word of this message, heaven has simply been reminding you of what has always been true about you. Before the pain, before the delay, before the warfare, before the doubt. Go forward, into the life that has been waiting for you, into the fullness of everything that was written over your name before the world began, into the light that was always yours to carry. You were made for this, and this moment has been made for you.